Let me show you how to include Telerik reporting within your ASP.NET MVC application. First thing that we're going to do is go File, New Project, and select ASP.NET MVC4 Web Application, and click OK. For our example today, we're just going to use the basic template, and I'm going to click OK. Once this template has finished loading, what we're going to do is we're going to add an existing report project to our solution. For our example today, I'm just going to go ahead and make a copy of the report library that installs with our Telerik reporting examples. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to open my solution folder in File Explorer, and I'm going to paste my report library there. The next thing I'm going to do is add that project to my solution. So I'm going to add existing project, and I'm going to select the C# report library. For our example today, we're going to be working with the dashboard report. So you can see here that it's a nice colorful report with some nice charts. I can close that off now. The next thing that I'm going to do is add a couple references to my MVC application project. So I'm going to say add reference, and we're going to add a reference to the C# report library that we just added to our solution, and we're also going to add a reference to the Telerik reporting as well as the Telerik report viewer web forms assemblies, and click OK. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of the connection string from my app.config of my report library, and I'm going to paste that into the web.config of my web application. While I'm still in the web.config, I'm going to be adding some report viewer handlers. So the report viewer handlers go into the system.webserver handlers section. So what I'm going to do is paste in a handler for the Telerik report viewer. So you can see there's my remove element as well as my add element, and I'm adding the Telerik.report viewer handler. So I can go ahead and save that. The next thing I'm going to do is add my default controller. So the default controller in an MVC application is a home controller. I'm going to click add, and I'm also going to add a view for it. And we'll come back to this view in a moment. So the next thing that I'm going to do is add yet another view, and this view will be the view that contains our dashboard report. So I'm going to go to add new view, and I'm going to name this view dashboard. And the view engine that we're going to choose is the ASPX view engine. And we're also going to make sure that we're not using a layout or a master page. And I'm going to click add. The next thing I'm going to do is add an import and a couple register assembly statements. So we're going to import the namespace for telerik.reporting.examples.c#, and this will allow me to create an instance of our dashboard report. And I'm also going to register a couple assemblies. So I'm going to register the assembly for Telerik report viewer.webforms as well as the Telerik.reporting assemblies. So just using all the standard syntax. Now that those assemblies are registered, inside my body I can create an instance of my form and the report viewer. So here's my form, and I've created an instance of the Telerik report viewer, and I've named it report viewer 1. The next thing I'm going to do is add some server-side code, and what this does is it initializes my report viewer with an instance of my dashboard report. So here you can see that I've pasted in some server code. There's a verify rendering in server form, and basically what this allows me to do is avoid the form run at server requirement. And I've also overridden the onload event of the form. So you can see here that I'm creating an instance of the dashboard report, and I'm setting it to the report viewer report source. So now I can go ahead and save that, And the last thing that we need to do is actually have it display in our view. So I'm going to go back to the index.cs.html that we've created earlier, and I'm going to name this page Hello Reporting. And within it, we're going to render the view that we created for the dashboard within it. So to do that, we're going to use the HTML partial, and we're going to point it to the dashboard view that we've just created that contains our report viewer. And I can go ahead and save that. So now when we go ahead and run it, you can see that our dashboard report now displays within our ASP.NET MVC4 application. Depending on the MVC4 template that you're using and whether or not you're using the default CSS that comes with it, you may experience some issues with the rendering of your report viewer. So what I did here is I've created another MVC application, and I've repeated the steps that we did in the first part of this video. But what I did now is I'm using a master page that contains the default CSS file that comes with the MVC4 template. So let me go ahead and run that and show you what we get. Here you can see the report viewer does not render properly. So let me show you the steps to get that to render properly. So the first thing that you're going to do is going to content site.css, and you're going to look for the input comma space text area element. So let me scroll down until I find the input section. There it is. I'm just going to go ahead and comment this item out. The next item that we want to comment out is with the table. So I'm going to scroll down a little further until we get to the table section. And we're going to want to comment out the table element here. As well as the TD element. Let's go ahead and save that. And now when we run it, you'll see that the report viewer renders properly because we're going to avoid those CSS collisions. As you can see, our report renders beautifully, and there's no longer any CSS issues.